Well, who knew that Steve Forbes could drop an ether on an agency, an agent in Bobi Klintman? It got a little spicy at the Wake Forest presser. We'll talk about why Forbes went off. Was he justified? And was it maybe a tad bit too long?
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Everybody, welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper, joined by Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack. Each and every day, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. We're always so grateful when you hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel so you can see our lovely faces each and every day, wherever you listen to podcasts in the audio space. We always appreciate 5-star reviews and your comments. They keep us going for sure. Kenton, happy Friday, my friend.
Happy Friday to you as well. It is a wonderful day to end off a wonderful week, and let's get into it because this is one of the most intense things I've ever seen in my life, and I would love to get into it and talk about it.
Yeah, we thought that the spiciness would come from our quarterback rankings, but clearly it's from Steve Forbes and basketball that just won't go away. Steve Forbes, the head coach of Wake Forest men's basketball, had a lot to say about Bobi Klintman's departure from Wake Forest, as well as his agent and his agency. He's been doing this thing for 34 years, and he ain't never had an experience quite like this. To set the scene, he had a presser today where he allowed, just himself to unleash the beast of frustration that is in terms of how everything with Bobi transpired and his decision to not come back to school, but rather go play for Australia for a year and then go to the draft. There were some mixed review conversations about whether or not he would come back and play, but it seems as if, or what Forbes is accusing the agency of, is always putting in the young man's head that, academics don't matter that much. Who cares where you're going? But also sort of maybe shopping him around to some mid-major programs and also maybe trying to get him bigger NIL deals, of all the things. So it just seems really dicey. Where do we even begin?
Steve Forbes has some great points, but 20 minutes worth of talking about one subject is crazy.
He was giving he's a great storyteller. He's
that
your
man
Coach
gave a
Cutcliffe
lecture
of the world. Yeah.
That man gave a lecture.
It was story time.
He gave a lectureship. He is an adjunct professor at Wake Forest University now. Congratulations, Coach Forbes, on your new professorship. I hope it works out excellently for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeesh, read that man for filth. I really do. I will say this. Yes, it was a lot, but I think I appreciate the way in that in all of this, he acknowledged that, hey, Bobi is doing what he thinks is best for him. However, he has people in his corner who do not have his best interests at heart, which is what I've said all along about these players. I don't blame an 18-year-old for taking the fast money, 19, 20-year-old for taking the fast money, because, again, the brain ain't fully developed. They're not there yet to understand the long-term consequences of, well, wait a minute, how impactful, how valuable is a degree from Wake Forest in terms of earning potential over a lifetime? What does that look like? As opposed to, well, I'm going to go ahead and snatch and grab a couple 100,000 or 100,000 from this league or from this team or from NIL over here at this school where the degree ain't worth the paper it's printed on and all that good stuff. And even weighing that against, well, what am I good at outside of athletics? What can I actually see myself building a career in outside of playing basketball and all that? Mm-hmm. And so I appreciate that he did not attack Bobi personally and say like, hey, this young man he just doesn't know what he's doing. He's not smart. He instead said that the agent was the one pulling the strings, doing the things and manipulating things behind closed doors. And it's always, it's best to do it that way and to discuss the adults in the situation who are acting inappropriately and not the young man who, I mean, for all intents and purposes, yes, legally he's an adult. Yes, legally he can sign up for the draft and all that. But like, to me, if you can't rent a car yet, you're not really an adult for real. Like if you can't,
Yeah, I definitely think that the adults are certainly the guilty party in this conversation. It was nice to see Forbes kind of tell the full picture and also provide people some education, background. I think, just for your own edification, it's nice to know how the process is supposed to be run and how essentially it's supposed to go in terms of guys as soon as they finish playing in a season where they don't necessarily have NCAA postseason, or maybe they do and it's over, and you have that gauge between, June 1st, June 12th. Are you going to make that decision to declare? Are you going to return? And how it all kind of transpired for this young man. I do agree that, it was nice that he didn't throw the kid under the bus. I don't think Forbes, he doesn't even give me that kind of vibe that he ever would. But I do think, one thing that was very important to point out is how small this industry and business is, right? Him having to go to ACC meetings and talk to other ACC coaches and ADs and let them know, like, hey, just in case this agent comes knocking on your door about Bobby, this is what I've went through. So maybe you can avoid, tall tales. And it also made me feel like, at the end of the day, so much of these kids, decision-making and, yeses or nos come from whether people like you or not, come from whether you get a nod from somebody. So if you get like that extra one pinch or give him a shot kind of energy, especially for, lottery picks and things like that. So it was just very much prevalent of you burn one bridge, buddy, you might just burn down the whole castle.
Oh, absolutely. And it's the thing is, the biggest thing for me, like you said, the relationships part of it, that agent now, I don't even know this gentleman or this woman or this person's name. Yeah. But I know for a fact, you talk about Steve Forbes saying, hey, this is what happened with this person. I know as sure as the sun rises on the east and sets on the west, Steve Forbes is going to tell everybody who will listen, if you are thinking about picking up a player and this agent is the NIL agent to go along with them, don't you worry about it. Don't you worry 100%. About it. That player is not worth your time. They're not worth your energy, because this is what you're going to see out of that agent the entire time that they're on your campus and at your university.
What's worse about it is Forbes didn't even want to do it. He didn't even want to take it there. And that's the part that really be stressing me for folks. Like, most of the time, people don't want to air out the laundry. They don't want to embarrass you. They don't want to have to make this shit, get ugly. But at times, people bring it on themselves to the point where, like, we're not about to be out here and, yuck the mud with, Wake Forest's name and play with their name and my job, my positioning. Like, I think that's how, rumors get started. People get called spicy. Next thing you know, Coach Forbes is pinned as this person that he's not. So I felt like it was of his, credit to just go ahead and let it bear it plain, at the end of the day.
I feel like this wasn't to avoid rumors so much as provide a cautionary tale and give the NCAA an area where it could tighten up. Yeah. Because the fact that NIL agents don't have to be registered is kind of crazy. That is a little bit like, wait a minute, what? These people are doing business dealings on behalf of the players. That should have been the first thing. Hey, there's an agency that you need to be registered with in order to do this. You have to pass some sort of scrutiny in order to deal with the young men and women who are part of our student athlete body. That you have to pass this in order to do that, because what Steve Forbes described is objectively terrible. Yeah, it's shopping the young man around to different schools to see where you could get the highest NIL. Yeah. It is even hard. It's hard to quantify and put into words how terrible that is, because if they were talking directly to the player, you would say it's tampering. But instead, it's, well, I'm talking to the agent, so that's not really tampering. It's like when your mom says, stop messing with your brother or sister, or stop touching your brother or sister, and you go up to their face, put a finger in their face, say, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you. And it's like, I mean, sure, you're technically not touching your sibling, but like,
yet it's still antagonizing.
You know what you're doing is wrong. It's that type of deal. Same thing here. That's insane. And then to go a whole nother step and say, you know what? Screw it. We can't get any NIL the way we want, so let's just go ahead and go overseas. And again, it could work out for the young man.
Look, come on with it. At the end of the day, let's hope it better work out for this young man, because if it doesn't.
But that's the thing. We can't say it better, because there's a chance. Has to. How many times have we seen this story? How many times? We could talk about plenty of players in the ACC. Sure. We could talk about, the list is exponential.
I mean,
players.
he rolled the dice crazy, in my opinion. We're gonna talk about what he did in just a second, but also maybe what the agent needs to do right here in this situation now that this ether has come out. But I want to remind you guys that we're gonna pay some bills and talk about Birddogs, because Birddogs simply is one of the best clothing things out there. The incredible cloud knit fabric looks just like khaki, but stretches so you get a way slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement. Birddog uses anti-stink sweat wicking fabric that keeps you cool and dry all day long. So go to birddogs.com right now /lockedoncollege for a free Yeti-style tumbler with your order. That's birddogs.com /lockedoncollege for a free Yeti-style tumbler. You won't want to take your bird dogs off. We promise you. So if I'm the agent, I'm Bobi. I'm Bobby. What we want to call him? Bobby Klintman? It's probably Bobi. What you think?
I mean, Steve Forbes pronounced it as Bobby, so
okay, let's go Bobby. Okay, we're gonna go Bobby.
Yeah,
so Bobby, he's seen all this come out. He's probably been told one thing from coach. He probably been told another thing from the agent, and there's probably some truth in between all of that. What would you think going into the season, where you have to essentially ball out in Australia in order to ensure that you get even a look coming back here in the States?
If I'm Bobby, what's going through
my
Bobby?
Head? Yeah, Bobby. We're talking about Bobby.
I mean, just do your thing. If I'm him, I'm just, hey, man, all that politics and all that, I can't control that. What I can control is what I do between these lines. And I've got to do the best I can to do the best at that, because regardless of whether or not Forbes was right about my agent, or regardless of whether or not my agent was just looking out for my best interest, or whatever the case is, all I can do, the best thing for me to do, is control what I control. If I'm going in putting extra pressure on myself, if I'm going in thinking about, oh man, I let Coach Forbes down there. Oh man, is my agent really with me? What's going on? Like, you're wasting your time and energy on things that I don't think matter. I think it does matter to know whether or not your agent is doing what's in your best interest or in the interest of their pockets. But after you have that talk with yourself, of however long that takes, the next thing needs to be focusing on best player you can be at all times.
You fired the agent if you're Bobby?
I don't know about that. I don't know if
I keep him. Why would I keep him?
So here's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all right. So let's look at this from Bobby's perspective.
Sure.
You have a job to do. You're looking out for your best interest, and what are the different things that Bobby could have said to the agent, right? Like, hey, the agent could have said, well, hey, listen, you can go over here and make all this money, or you can stay at Wake Forest and, maybe everything work out next year. Or, these are the options that are laid out, or I think it's best if we go over here. However that shook out,
mm-hmm.
I think that Bobby had to agree. I mean, if he's going over,
he's a little bit complicit. He's a little bit complicit.
To agree.
Yeah.
And so with that being said, why would he fire him, or why would he fire them based on, hey, Coach Forbes doesn't like it? Sometimes what's in your best interest and what's in the university's best interest won't align.
Sure.
It won't align sometimes. And that's, it's like when coaches talk about players sitting out bowl games. Coaches can get as mad as they want. That interest in playing that bowl game and winning that bowl ring does not mean as much to that player that is going to be drafted in the first, second, third round of the NFL draft as, hey, I don't want to end up like a Jake Butt from Michigan. I don't want to end up like a Jalen Smith from Notre Dame. I don't want to end up like those guys to where, I'm getting hurt or whatever the case may be, playing in a game that objectively, I mean, it won't mean that much to the university, won't mean that much to anybody. So, I mean, it could be that, hey, he's doing what's in his best interest and the coach is mad about it and he's okay with that. But it's to me,
it didn't give that. But it didn't give that in the ether. It didn't give it.
And here's the thing: we have his side of it. We all know how.
Bobby need to come out with a statement. Bobby need to come on, Bobby.
That really, if I'm Bobby, Bobby ain't got to say nothing. Let your game do the talking. Now that agent needs to.
We're gonna get to the agent. We're gonna get to the agent because I want to do scenarios with the agent. But if I'm Bobby, you got to I don't think your game said enough last season to where we're even in this conversation about you. First round draft pick, Bobi Klintman out of Wake Forest. He was a first round draft pick to you this season.
And I'm not saying that this is a super reliable source or that they're the kings of draft analysis and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
However, there have been many an article about Bobi Klintman's stock going through the roof as of late. There have been plenty of talks about, hey, Bobi Klintman could be a guy who crashes the lottery. Hey, Bobi Klintman is a guy who people are showing some interest in. And so I'm looking
at. Then why is he going to Australia?
I mean, listen.
He don't want that shrimp on the Barbie that bad.
It wasn't a guarantee that he was going to be a first round.
Okay.
And anytime people are saying you could crash, anytime people aren't saying, oh yeah, you're a lock for this spot, chances are you're not going to get that spot.
But okay, my biggest thing is like, if I'm not a lock for one, can I not be a lock? Ain't there 2 rounds?
Yeah, but do you want to be a second round pick that like most teams view as very disposable and all that, as opposed to going to Australia for a year, being the guy, and then, being looked at or regarded as, hey, this is one of the top prospects and you're going to be a first next year.
So wait, there's only 32 people that are regarded as like, man, we actually, mess with them?
I wouldn't even say 30. Oh, I wouldn't even say 30. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are 30 NBA teams. Everyone gets a first round draft pick, but I don't think that all 30 of those picks are regarded as like, oh, this pick is immensely valuable. We got to guard this pick. But I like whoever.
So if Bobi wasn't going to be in top 10, you say go play, go get some, go back.
I'm saying that could have been his thought and his agent's thought. They could have said, hey, if
I'm asking you what your thought is.
I mean, my thought personally is weigh out all your options, because Bobby knows Bobby better than Ken knows Bobby. I don't know nothing about Bobby.
But that's my point. I know you talk about a person. I know you talk about a personal level, but I'm also talking about a game level. Last season, nobody talk about Bobby.
But this is what. So,
nobody talk about Bobby last season. Now you know good and well you ain't never mentioned Bobby name not once. Now you ain't never mentioned Bobby name not once.
And here's what I mean. To that. I don't know who Bobby is as a human in terms of what is his aptitude for success off the court.
Oh my God.
How does he feel about himself off the court? Does he look at himself and say, I'm a young man that even if I can never shoot another 3 in my life, I will find a way to be successful. I will do something to be successful. Or is he the type of person that believes
the sugar honey iced tea? You know good and well you was all about them X's and them O's. Can you get me to a championship, my guy? Give me the dubs. Give me the dubs.
And so
can Bobby get you the dubs?
And so the question is this. The question is well, see, you can't now wait a minute. You asked me to talk from Bobby perspective. You asked me to talk from Bobby perspective, and now I'm answering, can Bobby get me the dubs?
You're Bobby. Can you get me the dubs? I'm a GM. I'm sitting here asking you. You want me to pick you in the top 10 the first round guarantee spot? Can you get me the dubs?
Of course. Of course. Every player should believe in himself at that level. Of course. What?
Clearly. Somebody said, Bobby, I don't know now. Might 1 second, man in the mirror. I don't know.
But that's the thing. So he said if he wasn't a surefire first rounder, that he was going to come back to Wake Forest, which is what Forbes said in the speech. He said that if he wasn't a first rounder, he was going to come back. He didn't get a first round grade, and he instead decided to take off to Australia at the suggestion of his agent. Now, I'm not really blaming Bobby or mad at Bobby here. I just think that this is a situation where he's doing what he thinks is best for him. But again, I'm very strong on get some good counsel around these players.
It's a great segue, because clearly Bobby ain't got no good counsel around him, because there should never be a head coach of any Power 5 that has to have a 20-minute conversation about your agency. Never in life. Never. There should never be a head coach.
I agree. So, and here's the thing. You never want to burn a bridge, period. But the way in which Forbes talked about it, I don't think Bobby burned that bridge. I don't think that bridge is burned.
We're on agency now. I think the agency burned the bridge. And you're also burning a bridge with someone who's very well respected in the game. Like, it's one thing if it's like, he's kind of crass. Like, someone hit or miss. Some people love him. Some people hate him. That's what makes him him, blah, blah, blah. Forbes doesn't give me that vibe. He could be someone I have been misled to be, but like what Forbes, and from what I've heard around the sports sphere, he's just not one of those guys. He's a shoot 'em straight type of dude. Yeah, so for y'all to play in his face, I know he won't go in for that.
And I look at this and I say, if you're the agency, you need to drop a statement. You need to talk about, hey, this is what happened. No. You need to make it public. You need to make it public. You need to make this thing as public as possible. Absolutely. You just got dragged for 20 minutes straight. And like, for those of you who don't recognize how long 20 minutes is, get in the plank for 1 minute.
For those who don't know how long 20 minutes is, watch us do solo shows and see how difficult it is.
We are hitting exactly 20 minutes in the recording right now, by the way. We're a little past 20 minutes right now, okay? So, you know, the ad break-in is probably put you at 21 minutes in listening to, but I'm trying to tell you, like, it's a very long time for somebody to solely talk about your unprofessionalism, your lack of integrity, your lying and deceptive ways.
Crazy.
You need to come out and put your hands up. Protect yourself.
Please.
Protect yourself at all times.
Please don't let it be a notes app. Please don't let it be a notes app apology.
No, you need to get in front of a camera.
You need formal. You need the agency's what is it called? Logo on it.
The letterhead on that bad baby. Hello, I'm coming to you from the NIL North Carolina Collective, and I want to talk about my client in Bobi Klintman and the situation that has conspired.
Yeah, because
there are a lot of allegations, there are a lot of things being said about us that I flatly feel are incorrect. Whatever the case is, this needs to be a situation where the agency puts something out formally and out loud, because, I mean, you just got dragged through the mud.
Through the mud.
Through the mud. So you need to go ahead and do something to brush some of that dirt off your shoulder. You need to do something to get some of this up off you, because this here is some nasty work. This is some aggressive work from Coach Forbes. And again, if you're an agent, this is a bad look for you, much more so than Bobi, because how do you get more clients now? And you know that if a player is at that school, you know that they're going to put in your letter of intent, hey, you cannot sign with this agent or this agency. You cannot sign with them.
You think?
Oh, absolutely. If you piss the coach off bad enough to have 20 minutes straight of talking about just your behind, by the way,
done deal.
None of my players can ever sign with him again. And guess what? The people who respect him are going to say, they may not put it in in writing, but they're going to tell their players, young men and women, do not sign with this agent. I'm going to tell you what happened last time somebody signed with this agent. You see that?
So the crazy part about it is his assistant coaches, who have been in the league for years, went to the top of the food chain of the agency. So it wasn't like this one agent kind of ruined it for all. It's the entire agency was under some sort of understanding, and there's some miscommunication, and things were like, oh, he's coming back to Wake Forest, or he's not coming back to Wake Forest. So there were a lot of people being told different things, and it all really just matriculated it into fluff to where Bobi's not coming back to Wake. But at the end of the day, everybody looks crazy. Everybody in the organization looks crazy.
I'm going to read you some of what the folks who were at the at this reading have said about what has happened here. Deceitful, conniving, and underhanded were three adjectives that Steve Forbes, and this is Cam Lemons-Debro, by the way, who is a writer for Deacons Digest for 24/7 Sports. Deceitful, conniving, and underhanded were three adjectives that Steve Forbes used to describe Bobi Klintman's agent. This has been scathing. It was clear that this agent was not working with us, but against us. Has made it clear he's enjoyed interactions and the process with every other agent player he's dealt with, but this is an extraordinary case. Forbes confirms that Klintman told him that he'd go through the process of the draft, but will return unless he was guaranteed a first-round slot. I'll be honest, I did not expect the last 20 minutes to go that way.
In all my days of Wake, I ain't never seen nobody unleash that beast like that.
In all my days of college sports, I have never seen it. And
not to an agent, no.
I've never seen this about anything. I've been following college sports since literally like my mother will tell y'all, since I was 4 or 5 years old, I used to get up, watch ESPN every day, watch ESPN classes and all that. The closest thing I could ever remember was the coach at Oklahoma State when they were talking about his quarterback.
He's 40.
And said, I'm 40. I'm a grown man. You want to come after somebody? Come after me. That's Coach Gundy said come after me was the closest I remember. And that was like 7 minutes. That was like, that wasn't 20.
You were stuck on this time thing and I'm dead. But you're right, because, sometimes but if you read the transcript, this man has been dealing with this for months.
Yeah.
He's tired. Yeah. This has been a month long. I from personal experience of things going on in my personal life, I understand when you just get fed up and you got to unload the beast. You gotta let the chopper spray. And Forbes said, I'm going to let the Beretta do better. And that's just where it's at.
With all due respect, I have never felt that in my life. 20 minutes.
You just don't. But see, you don't like conflict, and that's your problem. Maybe if you unloaded the beast a little bit longer, people would get the point. But you like to be quick with it.
That's what I'm saying. I like to be very direct and like. See, if I was that upset and you've been working me over for months, it would have been a story like, oh, there was a physical altercation between two people at the facility or something like that. I would have called
furniture was moving.
I would have called the agent and called Bobby into the room and said, listen, we could just do whatever about this, and the winner gets Bobby. Stop playing with me. Like if that's what we do, that's what we do. But even I'm joking, but I'm not really, because like honestly, if you've upset me for months straight, hey, come on in the back. Come outside. Come outside. I just want to talk. I'm not gonna put my hands on you. I just come outside. I just want to talk. Because I mean, that's the reality. But I'm not about to sit up here and drag you for 20 minutes. After I call you a liar, a cheater, deceiver, heartbreaker, that's it. You understand what I need to say. But again, I truly think that this wasn't from a sour grapes standpoint from Forbes.
Nah, this was letting people know.
Letting people know, and a cautionary tale telling the NCAA, get this under control now.
Yeah.
Now, because this isn't going to get better. We're not going to see agents doing less for themselves in the future 100%. And saying, wait a minute, because if you want to get a professional player, the pool of professional players is how big?
Yeah, very small.
But when you look at that pool compared to the pool of college players, hold on now.
Yeah.
Hold on now. We talk all the time about players who are stars in college, especially in women's basketball. Superstars go on to not even play a singular season in the WNBA.
Come on.
And so, well, wait a minute. I can get my hooks into her right now, and we can go make I get her on. If she make $100,000, I get a 6% cut of that. I'd have made $6,000 just off getting her these couple deals. It doesn't matter if I put her in the best position. It doesn't matter if I took her away from a Research One Institute and she's she wants to be whatever that institute specializes in, but I can get the money now to send her to a school where she's going to have to major in something that she does not care about at all. Yeah. I can get the money.
Yeah.
When you look at same thing for football and basketball, because while it happens at a lesser degree, there are still plenty of football and basketball players in terms of men's basketball that are great in college, do wonderful things in college. And then in the league, well, hey, buddy, get ready to learn some Domo Bergato. Get ready to learn some Ni Hao. Get ready to learn.
Get out of here.
Listen, I'm just saying, get ready to learn some Donkashan or whatever the case may be, because you're not going to be speaking English as your primary language for the next 5 years of your life. That's the reality. Yep. So if anything, I think that Steve Forbes did a very yes, it was long, but if it serves the purpose of standing up the structure of these NIL agents a little bit, then it was more than worth it. And
them jokers is buttoned up tight now. I'm trying to tell you, they're all them things in a ducks in a row.
And the very interesting thing about it is Steve Forbes went out of his way to note that he had very at worst very amicable relationships with all other agents and players. Yeah. Very amicable and good
he said, but I ain't never had no mess like this. And that's unfortunate. Poor Bobby. I hope it works out for the kid in the end. I hope they figured them things out in the end. And this really does get swept under the rug. It's a Friday. It's gonna be old news on Monday.
It's a situation where, yeah, like you said, you hope it works out for Bobby, because if it doesn't,
it got to.
If it doesn't, you could have potentially ruined your chance to get a 4-year degree from a prestigious university.
Which begs the question: can agents blow your NBA draft, return to school, or NIL dreams? Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Anybody who says they can't is a liar.
Yeah.
A bad agent will not get you in front of the right people.
Yeah.
Will not get you to the right places. And like you said, they're not looking out for your best interest.
Yeah.
Be it long term or short term, right? Because, I mean, realistically, we know that your agent is supposed to help you make the most informed decision possible. Okay. They want you to have all the information, and that at the end of the day, it's still your decision. But with that being said, that is what the agent does in theory. It's just like if you were talking about agents in their name are neutral in design, just like, how people talk about many different things in life, that this thing is neutral in design, but it is the use of it. It is when you decide to put intent and action behind it that then makes it either nefarious or life-changing, life-saving in a positive regard.
Yeah.
So same thing for these agents. Are they doing what they have to do from a standpoint of like, it makes sense, they're doing right? Or is it, hey, this is somebody who's up to no good trying to collect a quick buck for themselves?
100% agree. We got more to talk about over these next couple weeks as we prepare for ACC kickoff for football things. Want to make sure you guys are locked and loaded and ready to go in that regard. But we have some lists that we want to keep going over, as well as some schedule reviews to knock down. So make sure you're locked in with us. Make sure you always are subscribing to our channels and leaving us some lovely reviews. For Candace Cooper and Kenzie Games, we hope you have a great and safe weekend. Till next time.